Hey everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner and I have a very special guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your secret identity?
Yes. My name is Shannon Emerick.
And it's nice to have you in my, I guess beanbag corner. Let's have beanbags today.
Thank
That sounds
you.
comfy.
Thank you. It does. It does.
And now I'm kind of curious, are you doing well? Is the weather good where you are? Where are you? Would be the good
I am
question to ask.
I am in Houston, and I can tell you that it is incredibly hot. Um, we're all frankly a bit concerned that it's this hot. We've already hit the 100-degree mark this summer, and it's still June. So staying indoors is definitely a goal right now. But we are thankful that tropical storm Debbie seems to have turned and is no longer headed for Texas at the moment. So that's good news.
Well, I know how you feel because I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Ah,
And
yes.
yes. For the last week, I was in California and it was like cloudy and like 60-degree weather, it felt like, all day. And then I get back on my plane trip and it's 110. And
Isn't
I'm
that the
like,
truth? And
no.
you're like, wait, what happened? I know I was recently in Prague in the Czech Republic for a week on a project, and there were even days where it was cold enough to wear a sweater and a jacket, and it was raining, and it was like, wait, what is this? I don't understand. It's June, but it was fabulous. But we have to come back to reality, so that's all right. I love Houston.
Lots of sunscreen. But one of the interesting things when I came back, when I witnessed something new to the heat, is that I've gotten my first like melted CD because the CD is all shipped to me for the station. And I open one of my
Excellent.
packages and it's completely melted. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that was possible.
I actually have a friend here, a colleague that I work with, who each summer she will put a sheet of cookie dough out on her dashboard. And sure enough, those cookies will get baked and be perfectly edible. So it's just the way it is, I'm afraid.
But it's a great way to cook food. That's
There
one
you
thing for it.
go.
Yes.
Very, very unconventional. Yes, very exciting. Avant-garde cooking. There you go.
Now, going back a few summers, I'm kind of curious how you got interested in acting as a whole.
Well, it may sound cheesy, but I've known that this is what I wanted to do since I was in sixth grade, and I've never really considered any other options. I've been very, very fortunate, and it could have blindsided me in a bad way, but it's just always been my thing, and I've been really lucky to work professionally ever since I graduated from college. I do a lot of live theater work, and some film commercial work. And then I guess over the last maybe 7 or 8 years, have been really lucky to get to do a fair amount of anime voiceover work, which I absolutely, I love it. It's so much fun. I can't even tell you. So I'm really lucky. I get to sort of be connected to what I love in a bunch of different ways. It's just my passion. It's what moves me.
Well, now, did you like know what anime was beforehand? You were like, I'm gonna be an anime, or were you kind of trip and fell into it face
No,
first?
no, I came at it from the actor side. I had when I moved back to Houston in 2003, I found out from several friends in the field here that there was some really great voiceover work available in town on the anime side, and I knew sort of what anime was before that. I had seen one or two, but actually my very first anime gig will always be near and dear to my heart because I booked a couple of Hello Kitty gigs, and I grew up with Hello Kitty, so so that was a lot of fun. And then I've done a pretty wide variety of shows since then, so I didn't get into it specifically for the anime, but I was sort of at the tip of the iceberg of that was sort of really the beginning of my voiceover career, and I love voiceover work. I think it's so interesting to be able to do something totally different vocally than if someone, this is going to sound funny, but if someone had to look at you, because if they look at you, they expect a certain thing. But vocally, when someone's forced to, just listen to you, you can go so much broader than you can. And whether that's a radio commercial or a voiceover for a television show or whatever it is, not just anime, but you get the chance to really do a whole bunch of different things I would never get to do, when you're looking at me, just because of my sort of physical type. And so I came into it from some other actors saying, you should go audition. And it took a while to get the audition, and then when I did, I started booking some things, and I love it. It's so much fun, and you get to be sort of all over the map, and depending on the series that you're working on, they're very different in a lot of ways. Some of them are more similar, but I've played a pretty wide variety of roles, and I love it. I love it. Bring it on.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, you get to be in a padded room, and one day you can be like a buff, sort of like kick butt, warrior chick, or you can be a little kid. You have so
Yep.
many different options.
Yep, it's true. It's true. And I've played some nice, evil characters, and I've played the voices of some little boys, and I've played, sort of strong, powerful women who are sort of leaders, and just sort of all over. And then, animated characters like Hello Kitty. And I've even done some. I don't know. There was a series I don't know if you know of called the Fucon Family, which it's not live action, but it's sort of live mannequin action, if you will. And I played twin brothers in it. It was fascinating. Just a whole bunch of stuff. My mind would never even have thought, I would get a chance to do something like that or get to work on a project like that.
Well, and I think what's nice with voiceover is instead of like in the camera where everything has to be sort of controlled, you can kind of just go for it and get out your anger or your sadness or whatever.
Well, it's fascinating, I think, yes, I mean, absolutely, and that's part of what makes it so much fun, because you can just really go there. And in most anime series, there's very little that's sort of too much, if you will, but it also gives you the chance to just sort of dive in, and the other side to people not being able to see you, I mean, they've already got something they're seeing, and so I need to match what I'm giving the character to who's in front of people on the screen, and so that means I need to come up with the right emotion or the right sort of tenor or the right intensity or whatever it is, because I'm matching work that's there, and so it's a really fascinating process, and each one is a little bit different, especially when you've got a lead where you're going to really spend some time with the character. Each one you really get a chance to kind of explore their sort of full journey through a series. And it's really interesting to see sort of how they grow with you the more you record, and I love that.
Well, now with leads, it seems a lot easier to track what's going on in the show because you spend so much time with them. But with smaller parts, you really have to depend on the director to be like, okay, here's what happened to you and here's what's going on. That way
Right.
you're not completely lost.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes you literally are coming in just for a couple of hours, and maybe you're going to come and do a couple of different roles within those few hours. And so you're literally sort of dropped into the moment, and you just sort of have to go for it, which is kind of great because it becomes really all about your instincts. You almost don't have time to think and worry about, oh, wait, is this what this character would, you're like, no, I'm just in it. I'm in the action. Let's go. So those can be a lot of fun, too, to sort of jump in and see what's already going on around you and figure out how you fit into that.
Well, that's kind of nice because less stress. I would think that, some roles can be really nerve-wracking. Like, oh, am I doing this right? I've never done this.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, though, the more you do, and of course, in a way, all acting work is grounded in the same sort of thing. Even in, like, crazy, wild anime stuff, there still has to be some sort of element of truth, and you have to be at least a little bit connected to what you're doing to make it read and to make it believable in that moment, even if it's a crazy moment. And so So when you're doing a lead, it takes a little bit to sort of really kind of figure out who that person is. But once you've got them, then it's sort of you in their shoes walking around in their world. And thankfully I literally had to see that in front of me and go, okay, all right, and what is their facial expression and how does this need to sound? And then of course, I constantly rely on my directors to point me in the right direction, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't think so, and we'll try it again, or they're like, no, that worked. And so you can't self-censor too much. You just really have to sort of go for it.
Well, I'm sure actually seeing it visually is a lot better than pretending to be like in a box and that's your car or something.
Right. Yes, definitely. No, it's true, and it's also very collaborative experience with not only the director but also the engineer in the room with you, and sort of how are we gonna serve this piece? How are we going to serve this series and this moment in the series and make this work right? And so it's very cool. I really enjoy it.
Well, it's kind of funny because I don't know if the engineer had as big of a role or bigger of a role a little bit back in the day because you guys didn't have Pro Tools.
Right, right. I think it just depends on it really depends on the series, because some are just so much more, if it's a lot more action oriented, there may be more that they have to do in terms of tweaking, as opposed to sort of a more thoughtful series or a more thoughtful moment. So it really, but I also find not only is it collaborative amongst the three of us, or collaborative between the director and me, but the director and the engineer also have to be very much on the same page and sort of speaking the same language. And it's actually amazing when you see a lot of director-engineer pairings that have worked together a lot. The engineer can almost read the director's mind, which is very cool to watch. And so there's sort of a whole other show going on with what's happening between the two of them.
We have found the missing link. All voice actors and directors eventually become psychic.
Well, there is something about knowing who you're working with, and sometimes that can really inform the process. I think that's true in any business, in any partnership. But things can really get cranking along when you've got people who really understand each other and understand how the other one works, and also understand the material, and that they're like, okay, I know what needs to happen here. It's the same thing when you're working on a play, and of course you've got the director, but you also have a sound designer, a lighting designer, a set designer, a costume designer, a props designer, and when you have really, really good designers that are really, truly invested in the work that they're doing, they just get it. And I often find as an actor, there are occasional times when I don't fully understand the moment until we go into tech, and the light will hit the stage in a certain way, or I'll hear a sound cue and I'll go, that's what this moment is. That's what this is. So it's I don't know. I'm a lifelong lover of the arts, and it's an incredible thing that can happen when 2 people or 3 people or 5 people or 7 people connect, and make something happen.
Definitely. And I think that's a good time for the audience out there to let them have a break. That way they can develop their psychic mind powers for their future
Excellent,
voiceover careers.
excellent. Yes, good to go. Good to go.
And for anybody out there, we'll be back just after these messages. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't. Howdy, everybody out there! I'm sure you've all honed your psychic powers, but you're in my corner and you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan, and as you can tell, my special guest is still alive. We didn't torture or maim her, I promise.
And I'm grateful for that.
We're nice people, don't you see?
Yes, yes.
But we were kind of talking a little bit behind the scenes about 2 series that I believe both are your most recent. But the first one I wanted to touch upon because it seems to have a pretty nice fan base is Infinite Stratos.
That was a very fun series to do. I was playing a young woman named Charlotte Benoit, who was French, and the daughter of, you'll see why I had that Freudian slip in a second, the daughter of a sort of a high-powered businessman slash techno guru, trying to do some recon. And to do that, she has to go become a student at an all-boys to do that, she needs to become a boy so that she can use this technology. So she has to dress as a boy. It's actually strangely Shakespearean in a way, if you'll allow me, indulge me that. So I was playing a girl playing a boy, high school age, and then ultimately, well, I don't know how much to say about what happens, but adventures ensue, let's just say that. But it was a lot of fun. There's a lot going on in that series, and there's a lot of, obviously, there's sort of personal identity issues, but a lot of action, and sort of interesting to see what the male versus female identity things are. It was fun because one of my early leads was I did the voice of Loki in The Adventures of Loki Ragnarok, and so I was the character of the god Loki was trapped in the body of a little boy, and I sort of became known as one of the people they could go to when they needed sort of the 10 to 13-year-old boy type of thing. And so then when they have this character who is a girl but she's playing a boy, then I was lucky enough to come back in and jump into that. So it's fun. It's quite a ride. That series sort of went all over the place, and it was fun to watch that character evolve.
Well, now for you, do you have any sort of a, identity crisis when you have to play a different gender or anything like that?
No, because again, it's really the same thing that we were talking about a few minutes ago, just that you get the chance to explore something that you very rarely do. Now, again, I mentioned Shakespeare, and I actually meant that seriously. Don't let me scare off anybody who's not a Shakespeare fan, but of course there are a couple of the best roles ever written for women where they have to start out playing a man. Twelfth Night comes to mind, and so it's similar in that way. And so it doesn't come across that way for me so much as an actor, but I watched the character having her moments of identity crisis, and there are those moments of embarrassment, or there are those moments of forgetting that she's supposed to, I'm supposed to be a boy right now, and she changes her name to Charles, she's Charles, and she's pretending to be all, it's all good, but then she finds herself in some sort of tricky situations where she has to figure out how she's going to maneuver through them. So it actually ends up being a lot of fun because there's inherent comedy there, and again, it's just sort of exploring new territory.
Well, that's actually pretty cool. I've heard the series has been really well received. It doesn't like from the outside. You see a harem anime and you're like, oh yeah, like this is
Good.
gonna be like a formula. And it seems like a lot of the fans are finding out that no, this isn't a formula. This is kind of nice.
No, there's some pretty cool twists and turns that happen in it, and just when you think you're going down a certain road, they don't go the stereotypical way that they could have, which I think is to their credit. So it keeps you on your toes.
Very cool. And now there's your most recent project, I believe, that you wanted to touch upon, and you're the main character. And I'd like you to educate me and tell me a little bit about your character in the show.
So this is a series that's very newly out called The Book of Bantorra. And I was playing a character named Emerick, who I just loved. I had a really, really good time working on this character. It was really substantive. As we went through the series, there was a real sort of journey with this character, and it's a bit of a tricky world to describe, but once you sort of figure it out, you can trace the lineage of the world. But more than that, it was a series that was very much about the people involved and their relationships with each other. I'm not talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about how are they connected? How are they connected through their work, through their history? Some romantic relationships, but and you sort of got the chance to, loyalty is a really big issue in this one, and sort of as they're fighting to defend the world that they're in, where does that leave them? How do they reconcile loyalty to the cause, with loyalty to the people that they care about. I mean, it just sort of it's an incredibly well-written story, and it allowed for, I know several of my good friends worked on it, and we've had the chance to talk in the real world about our experiences in the anime world of Book of Bantorra, and as well as with awesome director Chris Ayres. You just really got to create sort of a lovely character arcs for these people, and the chance to tell a really interesting story. And again, twists and turns that you wouldn't necessarily think about. And what's the obvious answer? No, we're not going that way. And it was a great experience. And I really hope that people watch it and explore it, because if they do, I think what you find at the end is an incredibly satisfying experience, because everybody's had a pretty full journey. There aren't a lot of loose ends just flying out there. It's also beautifully animated, and so when it's one of those things where when you sort of put all the pieces together, like we were talking about before, you come up with a really kind of marvelous creation. So I hope people enjoy it.
Well, it sounds really immersive, like something that you'd watch an
Yeah.
episode and then like you get to the next episode and you're like, should I take a break? No, I'm gonna watch the next one.
Yeah, there is a lot of that, and it really demands sort of it does demand a commitment, because these people are involved in things that are, this is going to sound sort of funny and something that's of course totally fictional, but these people are, what they're going through is very real and really quite serious to them, and not in a sort of over the top way that it could almost become comic, but really pretty grounded, I think. And so, yeah, I hope that people will be drawn in and say, no, wait, I'm ready for the next one. I'm ready for the next one. What's going to happen? So, fingers crossed.
Well, awesome. I know that I think very recently came out, at least the
Hmm.
first set. I don't know if it
Yeah.
was the box set that came out or if it was just like the first half.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the release on that, but I know that ultimately the whole thing will be out there and is worth the journey.
Awesome. And now for the fans out there, for them who want to, keep track of what you're doing or anything like that, do you have any web portals that they can, watch, or do you do the Facebook or Twitter thing?
Probably the easiest way is actually just through either IMDb or Wikipedia. I was actually just checking out Wikipedia a minute ago, and it's remarkably up to date. So, so that's. I mean, I don't mean that judgmentally toward Wikipedia. I just don't really think I'm important enough to be up to date. But lo and behold, there's Infinite Stratos and other things. So, that's probably the easiest way to sort of see what I've been up to. And like I say, it's been really sort of varied work over the years, and I love it. It's adventure, and I say bring on whatever's next.
Awesome. And now for the really daring fans out there who want to meet you in person, do you go to any events? Do you ever go to conventions? Do you ever do anything like that?
I really don't. I am a very proud mother of a 6.5-year-old, and so I'm really, for the most part, pretty tied to home. And while I always appreciate the compliments, I'm not sure I'm high enough up on the food chain. But I know that a lot of my colleagues from some of these various series are hitting different cons. Chris Ayres certainly being at the top of that list. So I'm afraid I'm just sort of more out there in the electronic internet world.
Well, you're missing so many opportunities to dress your kid in something embarrassing or cute and having strangers take pictures of him.
Well, that day could come when he gets a little older. Maybe that day would come. He'd probably have a ball.
Well, it's kind of funny. I go to so many conventions myself, and I love when the parents go with their kid, and they have like the kid dressed up in something, and the kid's like sleeping in their stroller or what have you, but it's still really adorable.
That's right. It's like at Halloween. It's a similar thing. You see parents who are so eager to get out there with their children, and their children have no idea what's going on. But if it makes everybody happy, it's all good. So, yeah, no. But perhaps someday you plant an interesting idea. So I'll have to keep that in mind.
And there are some booths out there that do have candies, so if you scout those out, he can
Okay, okay,
he
good
can
to
trick or
know.
treat.
Duly noted. Maybe we have to balance that out with something else. But yeah, that's definitely would be on the lookout for those if I make it.
And now, before we let you go, we actually have a tradition here on 91.8 The Fan. So don't get scared off
Uh oh.
before, before I ask if you'd be willing to participate. But we basically ask if you'd be willing to do a radio bump for us.
I'm sorry. Do a what?
A radio bump, basically say a line for us.
Oh. Um. Sure.
She sounds scared. I promise that
What?
I promise it's not I'm a meanie head or something like that.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
We
All right.
basically
Hit.
we basically ask if you could say a certain line, but we do the takes live on air. So if you mess up, everybody hears it. That's the trick.
Oh man, that's brutal. That's brutal. All right. Well, I'm up for it. I'm up for it. Let me add it.
Awesome. We ask if you could say, hello, my name is, you insert your name. I do this. You can say you're a voice actress. You can say you're an actress. You can say characters you've been, whatever you want to put there. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Okay. Is it cheating if I write this down?
No, actually, quite a few people write it down. And I'm like, okay, there's that awkward pause. I know they're writing it down now.
Yeah, like hey, we're actors. We're used to scripts in front of us. Come on, I give major props to my fellow improv actors out there who can do a ton on the fly. Yes, okay, I'm ready when you are.
All right, whenever you're ready, you're all clear to go.
Hello, my name is Shannnon Emerick. I am a voice actor who has appeared in such series as Book of Bantorra, Hello Kitty, Infinite Stratos, and Book of Bantorra, and you are tuned in to 91.8 The Fan.
See, look at that. You didn't even get a blooper in there.
Excellent, good. Maybe I can keep my job then, so there you go.
Well, the numbers are always the hardest for people. People hate them numbers.
Yeah, I tell you,
Well, now, for the listeners out there and for the fans of your work, is there anything else you'd like to tell them?
Well, I appreciate it, and I hope you keep supporting the whole industry. It makes for really great and fun and engaging work for a lot of us, and we appreciate you very much. We can't do what we do without you, so thank you is what I would say to everybody out there.
Awesome. And for this interview, this was a lot of fun. You got me back into the swing of interviews because I was on vacation.
Glad to help.
Return to my desert, but we're A-okay. And for any of the listeners out there that missed any of this interview, don't fret. You'll find it on the website within the next few days. So keep your eyes listening to 91.8 The Fan and your ears peeled to 918thefan.com, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't.